I wasn't expecting Caitlin Clark to be coming back this early, but ESPN put out an article earlier this week, kind of summing up. They was predicting Caitlin Clark to be back by August the 12th. Now, this just came out of the pipeline of the Indiana Fever front office. Let's pull it up right now.
The Golden Goose is finally making her much-anticipated return, and the basketball world is on the edge of its seat. After weeks of radio silence and endless speculation, Caitlin Clark's injury status has been upgraded to a game-time decision. This news sent shockwaves through every corner of the WNBA universe. The Indiana Fever's franchise player, the face of the league, and the most important athlete in women's basketball, is about to lace up her sneakers again. Fans across the globe are holding their breath, eagerly awaiting her return to the court. But this is more than just another comeback. It marks a critical turning point for the WNBA, a league that's been without its biggest star for what feels like an eternity. As Clark steps back into her shoes, everyone knows that her return is a make-or-break moment, not just for her team, but for the entire league.
Effing Clark is a game-time decision. She is a game-time decision. She is, as far as I'm aware, someone said she's listed as questionable on the app. Someone said on the app she's listed as questionable. But she is a game-time decision, apparently. Look, if we're going to be honest, no, she's a game.
When Caitlin Clark steps back onto that court, it's not simply the return of a player who's coming back from injury. It's a revival of the entire league's relevance. The WNBA has been limping along in her absence, struggling to fill the void she left behind. With her out, viewership numbers plummeted, ticket sales crashed, and the buzz surrounding the league disappeared. But now the cavalry is here. Clark is coming back, and with her return, the WNBA is hoping to reclaim its place in the spotlight. Her comeback doesn't just signal the return of a star athlete. It's the moment that could bring the league back to life. Everyone involved in this league, from players to executives, understands the stakes. The financial future of the WNBA, the direction of the sport, and the livelihoods of countless individuals all depend on what happens next.
Clark may be back, and that will leave a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games left to get ready for the playoff run. Right now, you're looking at the Atlanta Dream, or you're looking at the Phoenix Mercury, which should be very interesting considering all the plots around.
Here's the harsh truth that no one wants to admit, but everyone knows deep down. Before Caitlin Clark went down with that groin injury on July 15th, the Indiana Fever's games were averaging an astonishing 1.81 million viewers. She was the undeniable magnet, the league's biggest ratings generator. Her presence alone was a guarantee of success. Viewership skyrocketed whenever she played. But the moment she was sidelined, everything changed. The numbers tanked, and the reality hit hard. Without her, the viewership numbers collapsed to 847,000, a staggering 53% drop in viewership. This wasn't just a minor dip in ratings. It was a crash, one that exposed how heavily the league relies on Clark. The WNBA felt the weight of this drop, and it served as a brutal reminder of how dependent the league had become on one player. Her absence became the tipping point, a reminder that without her, the league struggles to attract fans.
Argue this intelligently. No one person means as much to their league, whatever league it is, as Caitlin Clark means to the WNBA. And no person has done more for their league than what Caitlin Clark has done for the WNBA. Patrick Mahomes does not mean that much to the NFL. Steph Curry does not mean that much to the NBA. LeBron James does not mean that much to the NBA. She is a monster. When we look back on this, Caitlin Clark will be for the WNBA what Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were.
But it only gets worse from here. National WNBA viewership across all games experienced a catastrophic 55% decline during Clark's absence. Let that sink in for a moment. More than half of the league's television audience evaporated because one player couldn't play. This is not just star power at work. It's a clear example of economic dependence at an alarming level. If one player's absence can send the league into such a steep decline, the WNBA is facing a reality where its survival is tied to Clark's every move. The league has worked hard to build its brand and expand its reach, but Clark's injury showed just how fragile that progress is. The fall-off in viewership wasn't just a minor inconvenience. It was a wake-up call that forced the league to confront its vulnerability.
You can't tell me that the Caitlin Clark effect isn't real. You knew when news broke yesterday that Caitlin Clark was going to be out for a few weeks, that ticket prices were going to go down, but I never expected them to go down 71% for the rivalry game. I can't help but laugh because the first thing that I thought of when I saw this was a quote that we got last year from Angel Reese when she was talking about how people don't just watch the WNBA for Caitlin. They watch it because of her as well. Hate to say it, those numbers don't lie. They're watching because of Caitlin.
The ticket market told the same devastating story. Fever games, which were commanding an average ticket price of $137 with Clark in the lineup, suddenly plummeted to just $80. That's a massive loss in revenue, and it reflects the shift in demand when the star player is missing. When the Chicago Sky played against the Indiana Fever, without both Clark and Angel Reese, ticket prices for the game dropped dramatically, from $86 to just $25. Even the premium matchups saw prices crash, from $210 to $95. This isn't just a minor change. It's a sharp decline that reflects how much Clark's presence affects ticket sales. Teams that had moved games to larger venues in anticipation of Clark's drawing power were left holding the bag. The Washington Mystics moved their game to Baltimore, hoping to capitalize on the expected crowd. But when Clark was ruled out, ticket prices crashed from $41 to a meager $14. This was a brutal financial blow for the teams and the league.
Sky tickets dropped 71% on TickPick after Caitlin Clark injury. The get-in price for the Chicago Sky versus Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever game was $86. After Caitlin Clark's injury announcement is now down to $25. And you Angel Reese fangirls will still believe and think that Angel Reese is the reason why people are watching the W.
Sports economist Ryan Brewer projected that Caitlin Clark's economic impact could reach an astounding $1 billion this season. And these aren't just exaggerated figures designed to make headlines. This is a real number. This includes merchandising, tourism, television deals, and everything that comes with being a cultural phenomenon. Her mere presence is a game changer, not just for her team, but for the entire industry. Her value to the Fever franchise alone has been estimated at $340 million, transforming them from an average team into one of the most valuable franchises in the league. But the ripple effects extend far beyond Indiana. Clark had become a symbol for the league, representing everything the WNBA wants to achieve: visibility, marketability, and a connection to a broader audience. She has single-handedly elevated the Fever, and in doing so, has raised the profile of the entire league.
On the verge of seeing Caitlin Clark become bigger than the sport herself. WNBA viewing attendance is up over 200% since she joined the league. The Indiana Fever actually are outselling the Pacers, averaging over 17,000 attendance per game. That's crazy. $1 billion is the estimated increase in WNBA valuation based on Caitlin Clark alone. $1 billion. Now, this is up about 25% from the total economic value. Crazy to see these kind of numbers. I think we're on the verge of seeing something like MJ Tiger, where the average consumer goes to the TV because of somebody.
When Clark plays on the road, the economic impact is staggering. Ticket prices increased by an average of 140%, with the average resale price hitting an incredible $312. Out of the 10 best-selling WNBA games on StubHub this season, every single one featured the Fever. Dick's Sporting Goods reported a jaw-dropping 233% increase in WNBA merchandise sales compared to previous season, while Fanatics saw WNBA merchandise sales soar by over 500%. Clark has established herself as one of the top 20 best-selling athletes across all sports, ranking 6th among basketball players, including NBA stars. Her Nike deal alone, reportedly worth $28 million over 8 years, dwarfs her WNBA salary of $76,535, revealing just how much of a disconnect there is between her true market value and the compensation she receives. This highlights the massive gulf between her value to the league and the payment she gets for her efforts.
Clark's agent, Aaron Kane, said Caitlin will never be paid what she's worth by the WNBA because it is quite literally impossible for them to pay her what she's worth. An economist at Indiana University Columbus calculated that Caitlin Clark was responsible for $36 million in economic impact to the city of Indianapolis, and that she is responsible for 27% of the entire WNBA's economic activity for this past season, including attendance, merchandise sales, and television. One player in a big league responsible for 27% of the.
What makes Clark's impending return even more dramatic is the fact that the Indiana Fever have been operating in full crisis mode since her injury. Both of their backup point guards, Ari McDonald and Sydney Carlson, suffered season-ending injuries, leaving the team scrambling to sign 12-year veteran Odyssey Sims to a hardship contract. Despite these setbacks, the Fever have managed a solid 6-4 record in their last 10 games, including a dominant win over Chicago Sky, despite having only 9 available players. Kelsey Mitchell has stepped up in Clark's absence, playing out her mind and recording impressive numbers. Aaliyah Boston has also shown incredible performance, shooting 78% from the field in a 4-game stretch. Yet, despite their valiant efforts, the uncomfortable truth remains. The Fever can survive without Clark, but they cannot thrive. They cannot compete for a championship, and they cannot sustain the massive TV viewership and ticket sales that have made them an essential part of the WNBA. The Fever are a different team with Clark, and without her, they're simply treading water.
Hearing about Odyssey, she is a guard, 5'8". She's a veteran, 33 years old. This is interesting. She's been an all-star. She's also was 2019 All-WNBA, 2014 All-Rookie Team. She's had some good seasons in here, folks. No, she doesn't have a great history with the three-point shot. But if Caitlin Clark is coming back.
In a revealing appearance on Sue Bird's podcast, Caitlin Clark opened up about the mental and emotional toll of carrying not just her team, but the entire league. She confessed that she feels an overwhelming responsibility to be on the court, acknowledging that every time she's unavailable, viewership and ticket sales plummet. For Clark, the pressure isn't just about basketball performance anymore. It's about understanding that her health and availability directly affect the livelihoods of hundreds of people, millions of dollars in revenue, and the future of women's professional basketball. She described her latest injury recovery as more than just a physical challenge. It's a mental and emotional burden. Her mother's text during the injury, "You've taken so much time for everybody else. You need to take time for yourself now," underscored the immense pressure she faces every day. Clark's injury is a unique challenge, not just for her body, but for the entire ecosystem around her. She is not just recovering for herself. She's recovering for the future of the sport.
And playing 4 games and then not, and not feeling the best, and then frustrated of how hard I worked in the off season, and then all I do is rehab and continue to do this process, and just trying to trust that the best I can. And obviously there's really frustrating days, and there's days where it's a little bit easier, and you're very, very motivated, and you're close to the finish line of getting back and being back. And then it's not I have a training camp to build up to playing my first game again. It's no, you're tossed into game 30, go try to play well. It's hard.
When Caitlin Clark finally returns to the court, expect absolute pandemonium. Her comeback game is likely to become one of the most watched regular season WNBA games in history. The last time she returned from injury, the game against the New York Liberty reached 2.8 million viewers, making it ESPN's third most watched WNBA game ever. Even though Clark has missed 19 out of 32 games this season, WNBA viewership has increased by 21% compared to last season. Games not involving the Fever have seen a 37% increase in viewership, indicating that the league is growing its audience beyond just Clark's fan base. But the real fireworks will come when she's healthy again. The Fever are sitting in a solid playoff position, and their success without Clark has given them a new level of confidence. With her return, they could take their game to the next level.
Clark just helped deliver a major statement win. On Saturday, June 14, Caitlin Clark returned to the court for the Indiana Fever after missing 5 games due to a quad injury. The Indiana Fever handed the New York Liberty their first loss of the season, and Caitlin Clark was at the center of it. She made a return with force, leading the charge on both ends of the floor, and she came back in dominant fashion, putting up 32 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds. Just shy of a 30-point triple-double in a 102-88 win over the New York Liberty. Now, even NBA's own LeBron James took notice, posting the CC effect.
The business implications of Clark's return are staggering. ESPN saw massive increases in viewership last season when Clark returned, with games averaging 1.3 million viewers, up 7% from baseline numbers. ESPN's vice president, Flora Kelly, acknowledged Clark's importance, but also emphasized the league's overall growth. "We love Caitlin Clark, and we think she's phenomenal, but the growth happening outside her games is something that everyone is missing," she said. Still, 21 of the 24 WNBA broadcasts that drew at least 1 million viewers last season featured Clark. This aligns perfectly with the WNBA's new $2.2 billion media rights deal, set for 2026, with NBC Sports and ESPN betting heavily on the league's continued growth, with Clark at the center of that investment. Teams across the league have already adapted their strategies around Clark's ability to sell tickets, moving games to larger venues to accommodate the demand she generates.
Caitlin Clark continues to crush the viewership department and bring in those big ratings. This is from ESPN PR. This past Sunday, ABC aired another of its most watched WNBA games ever with the Indiana Fever's win over the Dallas Wings. It averaged 2.1 million viewers and peaked at 2.5 million viewers. WNBA on ESPN is up 7% from last season, man. What? The numbers are crazy. The numbers are crazy. She's a draw.
For the Indiana Fever, Clark's return is absolutely urgent. Despite having consecutive number 1 overall picks, their championship window is narrow. The WNBA salary structure makes sustained dominance nearly impossible, and the Fever need to capitalize on Clark's rookie contract before other teams catch up. Coach Stephanie White understands that the margin for error is incredibly small when it comes to competing for championships. The Fever made bold offseason moves to surround Clark with veteran talent, bringing in players like Dana Bonner, Natasha Howard, and Sophie Cunningham. They know this window won't stay open forever. Clark set the expectation at the beginning of the season. "My expectation is for us to try to win a championship." This was no idle talk. It was a statement from someone who knows the stakes and understands the unique position she holds in the sports world.
Not seen Caitlin Clark since the beginning of July. A lot of people have predicted for her to be out around the end of August, but this is a great update, saying that she could possibly play tomorrow, going up against Paige Beckers. Now, we know they have been having this crazy narrative about Paige and Caitlin, Paige being better. Everything will be put to bed tomorrow, I pray.
When Caitlin Clark returns, she's not just coming back to play basketball. She's returning to a league that's heavily dependent on her every move. Every opponent knows their careers, their salaries, and their relevance are intertwined with her performance. The WNBA has spent decades trying to build a sustainable league, but Clark's absence proved just how fragile that progress is. If one injury can crash viewership and attendance, what will happen if she gets injured again or retires? These are the questions that keep WNBA executives awake at night. Clark's return comes at a time when the competition is fierce, and the league is facing a packed schedule that's already causing injuries across the board. Every player will be watching her closely, wondering if she can return to her pre-injury form. The psychological warfare has already begun, and her return is set to be the opening shot in a battle for the future of women's basketball.
2.1 million average viewers to watch the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark, take on the Dallas Wings. ABC airs another of its most watched WNBA games ever. WNBA games ever. forever. ABC's fourth most watched WNBA game ever, more than 120 regular season and postseason games. More than 120 regular season and postseason games. This is more than most WNBA finals games, including last year.
What makes Clark's return so significant extends far beyond just sports economics. She has become a cultural icon in her own right, attracting a new audience that has never paid attention to women's basketball before. Her games have regularly outdrawn NBA playoff contests, and her appeal crosses multiple demographic lines, something that traditional WNBA marketing has struggled to achieve for years. The Caitlin Clark effect has turned women's basketball into must-see television, and it's created an unprecedented level of pressure for her to succeed. Clark now carries the hopes of every player who wants higher salaries, every broadcaster that has invested in women's sports, and every fan who believes that her success signifies a permanent shift in the sporting landscape. Her rise has been meteoric, demonstrated by her ability to secure 1.3 million fan votes for the All-Star Game, an increase from just 96,000 2 years ago. This shows just how much influence Clark holds and how deeply her fans connect with her. Her games break attendance records, shatter television viewership benchmarks, and generate mainstream media buzz like never before. The WNBA is about to get its golden goose back, and the basketball world is bracing for what comes next.